Welcome back to the news at 10. Education administrators are asking for increased funding in the areas of research and infrastructural developments of specialized tertiary institutions to enable them compete globally. The appeal was made at the 6th convocation ceremony and award of degrees to over 4,000 graduates of the Al-makura University of Agriculture in Abia State. The school bemoans the non-release of takeoff grants since its inception. Our correspondent Kelvin Obete reports.
The representative of the school visitor, members of the governing council, management and other principal officers make their way into the Al-makura University of Agriculture Pavilion, Umudike, Abia State for the 6th convocation ceremony.
That you are now deemed fit to hold the rights and privileges of the bachelor's, master's and doctorate degrees of this university, whichever is applicable to you, confers on you a high prestige.
The graduates in whose honor we have gathered today deserve our congratulations. The accolade we are awarding you today proclaim you as having been found worthy in character and learning to hold the degrees and diplomas of this university. We must note that character precedes learning.
Beyond the commendations and congratulatory messages, the occasion provides the opportunity for the management and key holders to highlight the institution's growth and areas of needs.
Our challenges as a university include mainly concern access to land and marked for acquisition due to lack of funds to pay compensation, inadequate infrastructure, absence of support and infrastructure for extension, short supply of student accommodation, and ecological challenges.
Indeed, we are the only University of Agriculture that is yet to receive any take-off grant 22 years after establishment in 1992. Our record of prudence and judicious management of resources deserve, Your Excellency, some recognition and reward.
The school authority reveals that out of 5.4 billion naira needs assessment required to upgrade the institution, only 2.7 billion naira was released by the federal government. More disturbing is the non-release of takeoff grants to aid research and funding of capital projects too. But in spite of the shortcomings, the school management says it has enjoyed considerable support from government. In response to the request from the school, the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Education, who stands in for President Goodluck Jonathan, and the Deputy Governor of Abia State pledged continuous support to the institution.
This administration places a lot of premium on the revitalization of agriculture, which used to be the mainstay of the nation's economy. Since inception, the government here has formulated programs and policies aimed at boosting food production.
I commend the management and staff of this university for preparing these young men and women for the honor that was or that is being bestowed on them today. I also commend you for sustaining the reputable traditions of this institution as a safe environment for learning and for fostering the hopes and dreams of our youths. On our part, as a government, we have continued to work hard to make the world you are coming into one of opportunities through sound economic management, infrastructural development, economic diversity, power and agricultural sector reforms. We are making progress towards meeting employment generation and development objectives. We encourage private organizations to join hands with the federal government in forging partnerships with the universities, especially in funding for research and scholarships. We are prepared to work with all relevant stakeholders to improve the education sector of our dear nation.
The highlight of the occasion is the presentation of the graduates to the Chancellor for admission into various degrees. They include 20 postgraduate diplomas, 143 master's degree graduates, 45 PhD graduates, while the rest obtained bachelor's degrees. With a cumulative GPA of 4.81, Anselm Onwuzurike emerges the overall best graduating student. Kelvin Obetin, Channels Television News.
Quick look at business stories here on the News at 10. The 241st meeting of the Central Bank of Nigeria's Monetary Policy Committee begins next week Monday, the 24th of November in Abuja, the nation's capital. The two-day meeting, which is the last for the year, is expected to feature discussions on developments in the global and domestic economy, and members are expected to decide on appropriate monetary policy responses. The monetary policy direction will be announced on Tuesday, the 25th of November this year. And with the Naira coming under intense pressure in the past 2 months owing to falling oil prices, analysts expect the MPC to take measures to support the local currency, including a possible hike in cash reserves requirements. Meanwhile, Nigeria's debt market is expected to take its next direction from the outcome of the central bank's MPC meeting next week. Yields on government bonds rose around 50 basis points across all maturities week on week, but some local pension funds were seen taking positions in the market yesterday after yields fell from around 14% midweek. The benchmark 10-year bond rose 52 basis points to 13.7% from 13.18% last week. The 2022 was trading around 13.56% as against 13.23%, while the 2016 paper was at 13.68% against the 13% the previous week. And still talking rates, overnight lending rate fell to 9.75% at the interbank yesterday after government's monthly budget disbursals flowed into the banking system. Odira said the government disbursed around 200 billion naira in allocations yesterday, which increased liquidity and lowered what it costs banks to borrow. The open buyback rate eased to 9.5% from 10.5% last week, as 2.5 percentage points below the central bank's 12% benchmark rate. Overnight placement traded lower at 10%, down from 11% last week. And giving you a summary at happenings at the Nigerian stock market, the bears held dominance at the Nigerian equities market this week as key indicators ended the week in negative territory, depreciating by 4.11%. The key broad index ended the week at 33,926.18 points, while the market cap also dropped to 11.7 trillion naira. On Lagard's list, investors turned down the shares of Flour Mills of Nigeria, NEM Insurance and Livestock Feeds. On the other hand, Champion Breweries, RT Briscoe and Cutex were the top 3 price appreciators for the week. At the end of the week, a total of 1.35 billion shares had been exchanged by investors, valued at 14.56 billion naira in 20,844 deals. And that's a wrap on business news. Olumide will be back with the rest of the news at 10. Please stay with us.
To women and child health, violence against women and girls, apart from being a violation of human rights, has its health consequences. Tonight on our Focus on Health, our correspondent Yomi Otaibe highlights the issues and how to protect and support the victims ahead of the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women and Girls.
Scenes like these abound around the world. Women and girls most of the time hold the shorter end of the stick. At the end of such violence, some women come out with red eye, broken limbs, battered emotions, or they even pay the supreme price.
Violence can be in three major forms. Physical assaults, beating, slapping, pulling of hairs and all that, dragging on the floor, There can also be psychological, someone stalking one around, abusive, verbal aggression, okay, or, putting the person down, making the person feel as if it's a lesser human being, anything that can make that individual have low self-esteem and all that. So it can be psychological, It can also be sexual, that you just want to force a woman to surrender into sex without her consent. All forms of sexual abuses, or threatened sexual assaults.
The statistics are bleak. Worldwide, 1 in 3 women and girls experience violence in their lifetime. 100 to 140 million women have undergone female genital mutilation, and 3 million African girls per year are at risk. Almost 70 million girls worldwide have been married before they turned 18.
We have, like, our campaign is like, you get your girl child and tell her, be careful, don't let anybody touch you and all that. This is high time. This is the time for us to start talking to the boys now, to also respect the girls. Don't rape them, don't assault them in any way. We have situations where even, like in our universities in Nigeria, to be precise, where lecturers who abuse the female students there, because if you don't sleep with me or whatever, I'm not going to make you pass and all that. It's rampant. I mean, we're quiet about it, and it is happening.
These acts of violence against women and girls do come along with health consequences.
Of course, physical aspects, physical health. A woman can get injured, have broken ribs, broken legs, can have lots of injuries, sustain a lot of injuries. Gynecological too, especially for women who have been sexually abused. Some of them can come down with sexually transmitted infections, including HIV, gonorrhea, many more like that. Some of them can have unwanted pregnancies, and of course, a lot of them will have so many mental health effects. The best thing is that for such people, they can go for counseling, okay, or they see clinical psychologists or psychiatrists to help them, navigate through. There are treatment modalities for this kind of disorders.
Although Nigeria is a signatory to conventions against domestic violence, one of them, the Convention for the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, a lot more needs to be done to protect women and girls.
We need to have counselors who can counsel them. We need to have medical support. We need to have the legal people who are going to defend them and protect them, to prosecute whoever is the offender. You need to have such things in place. Then we also need to do away with some of our tradition and culture that does not favor women. A situation where, for example, why this is increasing in Nigeria is because you find situations where a man would abuse the wife, and she goes to the police station to report. The first thing is even the policeman, this is a family affair, go back home. And the lady is also worried, because before you went to report your husband and he was put in jail for how many other months, you are packing your load today. And that is where it starts. It is increasing. We need to do something about it.
When it comes to stopping violence against women and girls, actions should speak louder than words. Any depressed woman or child will be less useful to the society. And if the saying that the hands that rock the cradle rules the world is anything to go by, policies that promote support for survivors, strengthen health and education sectors to prevent and respond to violence, and invest in more research into ways to address the problem must be implemented. Yomi Otaiba reporting for Channels Television News.
Next on the news at 10, Switzerland lead France 2-1 in the Davis Cup final thanks to a straight sets doubles win for Roger Federer and Stan Wawrinka. That's on Sports News. Do stay with us.